Welcome to another episode of the Military Mentor Podcast. I'm your host, Big Chief. Successfully integrating into society affects people's sense of well-being and mental health. Humans have been evolving the way we connect and interact since the invention of the internet, and now we're transitioning from social media groups to communities established over blockchain technology where value can be built and shared amongst people with similar ideals and interests. Today, we're going to talk about the evolution of communities and the meme culture in crypto. I have with me Brandon and Ricky, two managing partners for the newly launched meme coin community, BAWLS Onu on the Avalanche blockchain. Thanks for joining me today, guys. How you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm doing quite well. How are you?
Doing great. Looking forward to having some meaningful conversation.
Absolutely.
Me
So,
too.
yeah, so let's dig into it. So I want to start off with how communities connect over the meme culture. I got into the crypto space back in 2016, around the time when Dogecoin was a thing. And I remember I bought into the Doge coin and I was waiting for utility to be created. And what happened was the community grew, but they never established any utility. And I always waited for a product to arrive until I eventually sold out 2 years later. And then what I realized was the value was the community. And I totally missed out on that opportunity. So I want to start off with the psychology about how people connect over meme cultures and what does that mean to you guys?
So I feel like memes are just a good way to make people laugh and have a good time. And when it's shared interest where we find jokes, it's almost jokes that we all enjoy. It makes it where it becomes almost like a unintentional networking forum where everyone starts helping everyone. And let's face it, you always get better results when more than one brain's working on something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
W- w- w-
To expand on it. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, my apologies.
No, go ahead. I was interested in your thoughts, Ricky.
When I look at meme culture, it is about people helping out people. It is about the laughs and having making profits on your way up, right? Um, but it usually expands outside of that, right? Meme coins typically have a tendency of being a flash in the pan, right? They're in and out very quick, pump and dumps. But when you have a true meme coin, something that a community can surround itself on, it's about being that togetherness where you guys can support each other and create a actual conductive membership between each other. Like I've got balls, you got balls, great, we all got balls, right? Where I want to wear the merchandise that I've just ordered. Um, where you want to talk about it and like you want to share that inclusiveness that you found in the crypto space, right? If you look at like Shiba, they've got Shiba Army. Doge, they have Doge Army. Balls, well, just like a sack, we're always going to be with you. Um, so it's about that's an inclusive nature and being that pop culture punk group that everybody in the crypto space is pointing fingers at because they're old. Just like, hey, what is going on over there? That's weird. We want to participate. But then, 6 months to a year from now, they can't stop talking about balls because they see
Absolutely.
like these guys aren't a flash in the pan. They're here to stay. They're here to stick it out and pull through. So that to me, down to like if I could put in one sentence or one word, one set of words, pop culture. That's what it is. Pop culture.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like the shock value of the name of this project, Balls on You, because most people feel uncomfortable. I remember talking about this in my office for the first time, and I had to whisper it because I work in a cubicle and it's pretty quiet. And I had to tell a guy, I said, "Hey, I'm investing in this new project," and he was like, "What's it called?" And I was like, "I can't say it out loud." I had to write it in a notebook, and then it took about a few days before I was comfortable just saying, "Hey, man, did you get your balls?" And then it became like a running joke inside the office, but. I think one thing that's great about the meme culture community is the decentralized nature of bringing people together and creating that inclusion. And it's not just about the people down the street from you or at your work. There's people all over the world. I mean, as we hop in these chats, I hear people with UK accents. I hear people with Indian accents. I hear people we have German communities, French communities, all inside the Discord. But the way that the meme culture allows people to find where they belong, what they can identify with, and bring people together. I think that's pretty powerful.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What do you guys think about, the advantage of folks joining a meme community over just a basic Facebook, Instagram, social media group?
Um,
Or
I'll be
less
more than happy to
censored.
assist.
Uh,
Less censored.
Facebook,
Yeah.
Facebook groups are horribly censored at this point, and it you just can't have as open discussions, especially about weird topics. Um, surprisingly, our original logo, it was always getting flagged on Discord, but oddly enough, Meta, Facebook, Instagram wasn't banning it, blocking me from posting stuff on it, which was really weird. But I view the main thing is just it allows a lot more freedom in the discussions. You can have the discussions where you know exactly where to go to have what type of a discussion, because we're using Discord, which makes it where it's easier to organize and make sure that stuff's saved for not only yourself but everyone else,
Absolutely.
which makes it easier for ideas to build upon even more ideas.
Ricky, did you have some thoughts?
Yeah, so like when you go into the other communities like Facebook and you're hanging out amongst, an echo chamber essentially, right? Most of these people they all have the same ideas versus like a DeFi community, they welcome new ideas. And Facebook, you have a very high tendency. I used to be a part of a bunch of Facebook groups, but when you go in there, if you don't share the same ideas, you're very quickly to get banned. If you bring something that might be funny for some, might not be funny for others, you'll get a lot of, thumbs down, get kicked out, right? Or you get blacklisted in the community just because of that. Um, I think like in terms of especially joining like a DeFi community, in terms of like the crypto aspect, if you notice that the filter of information, it's always going to usually start with Telegram. It'll go from Telegram to Discord, then Discord to Twitter. And by the time you make it to Facebook, it's already hit YouTube and you're already losing out, right? Um, so like if you really want to be a part of like the information flow where you can capitalize yourself, being a part of the community itself and not just like a Facebook group is key to be able to be successful in this type of world, especially in the financial sector for cryptocurrency. But it's just I always found that like Facebook groups versus Discord and like Telegram groups are just not as cohesive and they're not as strong and well put as you would normally see like in a Facebook group. Facebook groups are very they don't seem like a community. They just seem like a bunch of people that got together that maybe have the same likes and ideas, but they're not really trying to support each other as much. You understand? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think one cool thing about the meme culture is that you actually bring value, like real value, into the culture. You have to essentially buy in, and it's kind of like if you were physically located, the value you bring to your community is what can you contribute? Are you a farmer? Are you a doctor or whatever? In the meme community, you actually bring your value to the community, saying, "Hey, I'm a part of it. I hold the token. I participate." And if somebody doesn't feel they want to be a part of that community anymore, they can take their value and move someplace else. So I think it's unique that in the MySpace, excuse me, I'm dating myself, in the Facebook time, the Instagram time, like you really don't see the value that's growing inside the communities over time. It's not tangible except a number, but actually you can see the monetary gain inside the meme culture. If the community grows stronger and it builds, multiples and it builds value, then you can actually see that reflected. But I always tell folks when you come to the meme community, yes, the gains are a part of the story, but join the communities that you have a true interest in. If it makes you laugh, if you can identify with it, then you'll be there for the long term to add value to the community, and then the results will come over time. So we got to be there to add the value. I think that's an important aspect.
Absolutely. When you buy into the token, you have a stake in its success. You got guys that have been in since the very beginning. They haven't sold. They're back holding, right? They understand that the success is necessary and is communicated through the community itself. A lot of these meme coins community members go out and start creating ecosystems around the token because they want it to succeed. If the community isn't involved, the token's going to fail, which is why I'm so, ecstatic to see such community involvement with the Balls on You. Meme coin space, I guess is the best way to
So,
put it.
so let's talk about the stigmatism around crypto in general, and then kind of zoom a little bit deeper into the meme coin community. So let's start at the top. So, what do you guys think are some of the stigmas around the crypto space?
I I think a lot of people assume it's just a scam or a pyramid scheme. And I mean, yeah, there are some that are just that. But realistically, when people are trying to work together to create value, it is hopefully actually decentralizing the power. I mean, for instance, with us having voting initiatives, I've got it set up where pretty much anyone could vote or could create an initiative, and we vote on it as a community. I didn't try to limit it to where it was just myself or Ricky who could create a suggestion, because I want the community. I want the community to help drive where we go. I mean, I spend a lot of time in the Discord listening to what people suggest and interacting with them and seeing what I can do to materialize the things they're suggesting. At the same time, I have my own opinions of what can create the most value that comes from my experience as business consultant and a writer. So I tend to look at how can we legitimately create the most value. And to me, the things that create value are entertainment. Um, Given that crypto, part of crypto is currency, we it needs to be able to be used as payment. So I mean that's why we've partnered with crypto lids, and people can buy merch through them, not only of our products, but any other number of brands products. They can uh in games they'll be able to use currency. Ideally at some point we'll have a payment processor. I've been looking into that a little, but they're kind of complicated to get into this early in the game.
Absolutely.
Um, so basically, the more things you can do with it and use it like you do a dollar, it means your efforts and what you do making people laugh can be monetized and then be spent places to enhance your life even more.
It reminds me of that movie, Monster Inc. I don't know if you remember that movie back in the day where they used to capture children's terror and it would power their entire city. And then later on, they realized that when they made children laugh, that it created more power than the tears and the terror. And I kind of equate that to the meme community. Like you said, there's power and value in humor, and that's reflected in the momentum and the price of the project. So I think that's a pretty powerful thing. So the goal of the Balls on You effort, the community, what we've been talking about is it's been centered on having fun and humor. Do you think that coins that don't have utility can survive in the space if they just focus on the narrative of the humor?
Um, I think it's possible. I mean, Doge didn't have utility for a very, very long time. I had Doge in 2017. I kind of wish I kept my Doge
Me
at
too.
2017. I had so much.
Yeah.
But coins can survive if they don't have utility, but it's very, very hard and it's very, very rare. Doge was looked at as it's useless. There's no reason to have it, but people had it anyway because it was just part of the culture that was developed from it, right? You got Doge? Yeah, I got Doge. Why? Because it's useless. It's nothing. It's literally was created to be a running joke. But then all it took was one person to make a comment, right? Elon Musk, he just commented, and next thing you know, Doge took off. And then you had Shiba come after it. Shiba started with nothing, right? Eventually, utilities started to grow around these tokens. I mean, if I remember correctly, I think Doge now has like their own chain that they're working on.
Mhm.
Shiba, I think, developed
They
Bones,
have
which
they
is
have
like, you know,
Shibaverse, the metaverse for Sheeb too.
exactly. So it's not they created a path we can follow. They basically pioneered when you think about meme coin tokens, right? Where they
Yeah.
could show, hey, you don't have to have utility up front. If you develop your community, you can always end up creating utility later. That is possible, but it's a very hard path to walk. So in this space now, you know, cryptocurrency space moves so fast, so quick that if you don't have some sort of utility in the beginning, a lot of people can falter, right? Because they want to
Yeah.
they see those catalysts. They're like, oh, this is gonna make me money. How can I make myself more money? Make myself more money. Nobody likes to sit with their balls in their hand and do nothing, right? So if you don't have the utility in this current time, in a short amount of time, you can struggle, right? But if you can develop utility in a decent time frame, people are more willing to stay instead of constantly rotating profits. The best way to look at it would be in the recent case would be Kakinu. They've created utility. Their community members have created utility around it. They've been around for actually about 30 days now, um, and they've got many protocols around it, and that's helped create utility for their own token, right? But they didn't have any of those protocols till about almost 3 weeks in, 2.5 weeks in, right?
But
So
they had that foundation beforehand.
right, they had their foundation where the joke was coming from the chicken NFT community.
Yeah.
So they had that foundation already ahead. So they had that all planned. So looking at them as a use case for right now, it's like, okay, well, they had all this already kind of pre-set up where
Mm.
they could succeed, right? A lot of meme coins don't have that. So people have to keep that realistic view and look at what foundation some groups have had prior that were able to expand very quickly versus some, hey, we just started, we got this joke, we decided to make a meme out of it and monetize it, right? How can we compete with them? Well, we may not be able to compete with them in the short term, but in the long term, we will be
Oh,
competing with them. We will
Mhm.
be.
yeah.
We're over almost 20 days. I believe we're almost 20 days. We're constantly being talked about in the top three. You don't see the balls on you Twitter space saying we're top three. You got other people saying top three. We don't have utility, right? A nerd out made Cocklock, right? They decided
Mm.
to add utility to the token. We're developing our NFTs, which does give some utility to the token, right?
Yeah.
But in all reality, before we had any of this, people were conversating about us, and they still are.
Mm.
So is it possible? Absolutely. Is it hard? Very difficult. But if people can see the value you bring to the table, they will stick with you.
And
Absolutely.
that's the part that really impresses me is we've taken some massive hits in these last 3 weeks, and we still every time we take a massive hit, we eat it up. It's getting harder because because people have gone so hard for so long. But all it takes is like literally the way it's looking to me is we're going to have like basically the month of February is going to be jam packed with whoa, this is out, this is out, this is out. I know of like 3 or 4 things at least that we expect to come out during that time. At which point it's going to be hard to avoid that we've got like stuff going on.
I like the fact that while you guys are creating value, you guys are constantly educating the community on cybersecurity awareness, because there's a lot of folks that's trying to ride on the success of what we got going on. And my concern for the average person out there across the world that might be looking to jump onto that wealth wagon where they say, I put $100 in and I changed my life. A lot of folks are susceptible to, committing their life savings into a project in hopes that it will become the next best thing and then ultimately lose everything. So I would ask the question of, how do you think people should assess meme coins for value? We know the value that we're delivering might not be transparent to everybody because everything has not been revealed yet, but how does a person assess you know, a project for value?
So there's a couple of ways you can do it. One, and I think this is really where we've knocked it out of the ballpark, where a lot of other ones that have come at relatively the same time haven't, is the name. Our name, compared to a lot of the other meme coins you see out there right now, Talking News got one that's easy to play off. And then the other ones, like, I'm not really sure what they're. Uranus, I know how to do jokes for them, but a lot of these I don't know how to. I can't even think of what's funny about hear you.
Oh, wow.
I'm not trying to
Yeah.
be a jerk here, and I'm
Yeah.
sorry for saying that, Lonzo, but I can't think of what memes to make for that to make people crack up.
So to touch on that, because it, memes aren't just about the joke, right? The joke has appeal, right? But it's about the interactions around it. For example, you mentioned hear ye.
Mm,
Lonzo's Spaces. I'm there every day. 22
yeah.
UTC, 5 p.m. EST. I am there every single day, except for yesterday, because I had my child. So he understood. He still shared a little sneak peek. Sorry, Brandon, I didn't mean to go against you, but I had to do it.
It's all
Back on
good.
topic though. There's a gentleman on there, Hoops. He's a basketball coach, great
Mm,
guy. If you listen to him, he has his own spaces. But the community joke is hear ye. He plays the horn, goes do 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 do, and then you hear ye, falls on you, Kimbo slice. He goes in this whole tirade, and so it's just like a running joke that they've created
yeah.
um amongst their space, right? So the key factor about meme coins isn't just the joke, but it's the community around it and what it means
Mm,
for that community. For Lonzo's community, it's funny because they understand where this is coming from and how many times this is said in a day, right? Uranus
uh,
is another one. Uranus. It's a
yeah.
cool mimetic, situationship that's happening that you can make it dirty, but you can also still have it clean, right?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of both.
Yeah. So I mean, to me, I feel like hear you would be more along like social thought as opposed to me.
It can be.
Kind
I've
kind of how I see.
It
Yeah.
absolutely can be. Lonzo's he's a social dude, so it definitely touches that social aspect.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to branding and kind of like you were saying, Ricky, is who can you get to identify with that brand, and you know, again, you know, I stress when you join a community, especially a meme coin community, because you know, flat out, most meme coin communities don't have utility. When I was investing for the past since 2016, every project that I assessed, I would look at who's their partners, what's the utility, what's the tokenomics, and I'm doing like a hardcore assessment of those projects to see, is it worth putting my money here? Am I buying the future or am I buying a rug pull? And most of the time, if they had the right partnerships and the right value proposition, then I invest. And that's how I advise folks for years. Like the crypto space is Web3, it's new opportunities, it's a new ecosystem. The people who come in now are buying the future. Where is the narrative for meme coins? I didn't have it. I couldn't talk about it for all these years. But when I saw that this particular project was backed by some of the devs from VaporDex, you know, they made a, you know, that decentralized exchange. They had the skills to build. They had
Mm,
people with value. Like you said, there was a name that people enjoy making jokes about. And like you said, at the end of the day, the meme community is, can I take a picture, put words around it, and make it funny using the narrative of the project? And if I can't do that effectively, then the project probably won't survive very long. And I didn't find any humor in Shib Inu or, you know, Baby Shib or whatever. To me, it's just if you like cute dogs and you can identify with that, there's a place for all communities. But the risk was, especially coming up during the ICO time, is people would do a white paper, they would launch a coin based off of a fork of code, and then as soon as people buy in, they would just rip the carpet from right under them because we didn't have the regulations. People weren't going to jail. It was just, if I can do enough to hit the jackpot, and therefore the narrative forms around these projects with no utility, and it gets a bad name. But there is value in these communities, and I know that the Cox Inu community printed a lot of millionaires for folks who got in early, and they went from a few $100,000 up to over $100 million in value. And again, just by joining because you're having fun, the value stored in the community, it's stored in the humor, and people experience that if you stay a part of and invested in that community for a period of time. So while the meme coin community can be risky, it also creates opportunities, and it also creates connections, because I've met great people through this, and you would never think the type of people that you would meet inside these communities exist here. You meet executives of businesses and business owners and people who are doing all kinds of interesting, got people achieving social impact, veterans like myself. You can't discriminate on a community just based off of the name. When you peel the layers back, if there's value in it, it'll bring in, the quality people. And we have jokes that if I were to go to my professional work environment and sling them around, yeah, it probably wouldn't be safe for work. But at the end of the day, this is the community is more than just a name.
So,
Absolutely.
I have a story about talking about it at work. I had a meeting with my editorial team the other day, and I'm like, okay, and like the first thing I told them, I'm like, I have been so hectic. I created a new cryptocurrency, but before I can tell you anything about it, I need you to promise me that you're not going to file sexual harassment charges.
That's
At which
usually how
point
every
they
good
did.
joke starts.
At which point they're like, yeah, that's fine. I'm like, okay, so we started a coin called Balls on. They start cracking up. To the point where my editors actually came into the Discord and are like scroll through the memes. So I mean, and they're not crypto people. They were just curious because I told them, and they started cracking up. So I mean, I feel like ethical meme coins are what will bring people who don't necessarily value decentralization into crypto, at which point they'll start discovering the value of decentralization.
Hey, Brandon, you hit the nail on the head, because that was one of the things. My mom came into the space. She has balls in her wallet now. And as I was teaching her about how to get involved, I found value in it, because the cost of entry was so low, that I could walk her through the process and educate her in this new financial structure and say, let's take, $100, let's take $10, and I could walk her through the process of moving cash into, AVAX, and then put it on a wallet. And I explain to her every step of the way, so she starts to slowly learn. So while it's also a part of the opportunity of financial gain about joining the community, it's also an education opportunity for somebody coming into space for the first time. They don't have to be tech experts and deconstruct a complicated project like Chainlink or Polygon or something like that. They don't have to get that deep into it. But when they understand how to transact in the financial system of the future, there's value in that learning opportunity as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
and
it's funny when you're trying to like you're trying to communicate the tokens, right? I had a very similar situation at my own job. I got a buddy of mine, we were talking, and I was like, before Balls was launched, and I was like, yo, bro, like, and I'm like, hey man, you hear about this new token? He goes, new token? I'm like, I can't say it too loud. So I need you to get real close to me, because I also work in the tech industry, and I'm in a cubicle myself. And so I was like, bro, have you heard of cock in you? And he just started busting out laughing. So then, like, a little while later, BAWLS Onu launches, and he's like, yo, Vic, like, you look really tired, man. You all right? Like, you're multitasking like a madman right now. And I was like, yeah. I was starting a new, help start a new token, and it's taking my time. And he goes, what's it called? I was like, all right, man, I need you to get real close to me again. He's like, what's up? I was like, it's called BAWLS Onu. And this man blurted out laughing. The girl next to me heard it. She's like, it's called what? My balls on you. She's dying. I've shown them sneak peeks of the NFT, and I'll tell you what, every time they see it, when I showed it to them, reactions were just glowing face, laughing at what's coming. So it's an interesting thing. I told my mom too. I was like, Mom, like, look, when I first told her about cock inu, she goes, she can't say it. She started laughing. She goes, it's called what again? I'm like, it's called cock inu. And she just, she's a Christian, very heavily religious woman. And so every time we talk about it, she goes, I can't say it, COQ. And that's how she refers it. So she has her own investing group that deals with currency, with cryptocurrency. And she's like, I can't tell them the name, but I just gotta give the ticker.
Yeah.
I was like, all right. So she actually, funny enough, she called me today. She goes, hey, how's your balls doing? And I just caught me off guard the first thing in the morning. I was like, sorry, what? She goes, your balls, how are your balls doing? And I'm like, oh, the token, got it. Yeah, it's fine. It's totally fine. She goes, when can I buy some balls? And I'm just like, for someone who can't say cock, you can pretty much say balls all you want, huh?
That's right.
She
Yeah,
starts
yeah.
going,
Yeah,
so, it's expands.
I took the text message that my mom and I had back and forth as she finally posted her first meme to our chat group with the brothers, and I put it on Twitter and I said, "Balls, kid tested, mother approved." So
Yeah, no, I actually on the Twitter account we ended up using that just because hey, it's perfect.
yeah.
Expanding across families and just having that fun time. That's where it's at. That's what you want.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I liked, I was in one of the spaces where you were talking, and you had mentioned that if people came into the space and they were to see the financial gain that could have an impact in their life, that you guys want them to take that opportunity. It wasn't about, holding, diamond handing all the way to a point where you lose your profits. You said if you get 10,000 profits in the project and that can pay off your car, if it can pay off your bills, if it take you out of debt, then that's what the narrative is about. That's what we're here for, is to create a community that adds value, through humor, and also the potential to add value through financial gain. And if you see that financial gain, then the community encourages you to leverage that to have an impact. And I thought that was a very noble thing to vocalize versus just saying, hold the project because we care about the market cap and we care about this thing going to the moon, not necessarily about, the individuals who came in for a reason. They came in with an agenda sometimes. I thought that was pretty noble.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, as a business consultant, I'm here to change lives. That is what my goal is every single day. So if somebody is able to pay off their car with balls, guess what? I want them to. And I want to know that they've done it because that's another person I've helped.
Absolutely.
And knowing that I've been able to help those people is so important to me. It's what keeps me going day to day. Um, so I mean, it's meaningful, and so many people just keep holding, they get greedy. Dude, if you got to the point where it's already 10 times, take out 10%. So you're playing for free. At which point you won't have any emotions about it. I mean, literally, if you've seen what my wallet's done, my wallet's shot all over the place. I mean, it's gone all over the place. But it doesn't even bother me because I know what we're doing. I know everything we're doing, and I know we want stuff.
So Brandon, let's talk about that real quick, just to, put that out there about how the contract on the project was launched. So this was a totally renounced contract, fair launch, liquidity pools burned. Let's talk about that for the listeners that don't understand what that actually means in terms of security and safety in this particular project.
Okay, so the benefit of the fair launch was we had a anti-whale per line of code in there that basically said for the first hour nobody can buy more than 1% of the tokens, which made it where we could start with a fairly low upfront investment and make it where a lot of people could get in, as opposed to just one person coming with 69 AVAX and buying it all. At which point they'd just be dumping on everyone else from the start. So that's what it meant by a fair launch. The renounced contract basically means that we've removed the access to the program for the developer to change, which means he can't do any sneaky stuff. He wouldn't. I don't believe he would if he could, but uh, any crypto that's a meme coin, especially that isn't willing to renounce the contract when they don't need access anymore, they're probably trying to scam, honestly. I mean, there are reasons why you need access. For instance, if you're building a whole ecosystem off of a single coin, you'll probably need to edit portions of it from time to time. But for memes, you don't need that to be able to do it. There's ways now to be able to run staking contracts without having access to the original contract, as long as you can look it up. So that makes it where it's safer for people to know that what they're signing on to isn't just going to automatically change.
So the terminology rug pulls, not every people understand that it means that there's a scam, but what does that mean in terms of in the crypto space that you've been set up in a project that was designed to scam you? What does that actually mean in terms of the contract or the actual project? Ricky, it looks like you want to answer this one.
Yeah. So I find rug pull is too commonly used as a term, right? You got a couple of different variations of rug pulls. You got the hard rug pull, you got the soft rug pull, right? Or in this case, also known as the slow rug pull. Rug pulls are designed from the very beginning, whether the contract is revoked or not, to to either they're gonna steal all your money off immediately. There's empty promises that never occur, right? And a lot of you can tell when those are occurring hard rug pulls. Key flags are um, is their minting still on in the contract, which is, if you're looking at tokens using tools like Dex Screener and Dex tools, they use third-party applications, known as Go Plus Security, and they run an automatic sweep of the contract itself. Having functions on like minting, having certain functions like blacklisting, those are things you can tie into like, okay, these are red flags to me because that means they can affect those types of those changes. Transfers are possible. Um, some red flags you can find specifically for hard rug pulls that I personally for is LP locks, right? I'm very wary of putting my money into a token that just launched, has no Twitter, no website, there's no action in the Discord, Telegram. Are the wallets being sold and buying, or the same wallets over and over again, right? If these are the cases and that LP isn't locked, more than likely this person's waiting for a certain market cap or a really good spike. They pull the entire liquidity pool. You can no longer transact that token, and they've just made 30, 40, 50 grand, right? And that's just the hard rug pull. Now, the slow rug pull is when they create a community around, they do it over a span of months, and they just keep promising you things. Oh, these NFTs came out, you need to spend X and Y AVAX, and it's a longer play. It's the longer con, right? I've seen slow rug pulls last as long as 3 months to almost a year, where they'll slowly burn out liquidity. So the best case for like a slow rug pull would be Ring. When Avalanche first started, Ring, it was a node project, right? You threw all your tokens in there, and then the tokens would get recycled, right? So you would have a locked node price. You'd have your, let's say, like 1 million tokens locked in your node. You'd get a certain percentage every day that they would guarantee, right? And then it would just cycle around and around, right? The tokens were never actually locked up. They were burned. They were just constantly go back in circulation. So then there's no scarcity being involved. Well, when you have $1 million liquidity pool and people are just constantly taking their tokens and selling, the team itself probably have their own nodes, and they probably gave themselves very large nodes, and they say, hey, we need this to pay ourselves. But what they're doing is because the tokens are always in circulation, they're never running out of money to sell. So then they're going ahead and just slowly pulling from that liquidity bit by bit, and they use smoke and mirrors saying, "Oh, it's the market. Oh, everybody's
Mhm.
pulling. Don't sell. Don't do this." And you find a voracious group in there where they're, especially in Discord, they're banning people for talking about it. They're not asking, answering questions, and then you slowly see that liquidity is just draining and draining and draining, and people are they're like, "Oh, DCAN, keep buying and buying and buying." Eventually, people get married to their bags, if you will, and then that liquidity's gone, and the team's like, "Hey, we tried, but sorry, gotta go," and then they just disappear into the wind, right? And then they go and take all that money, they just start a whole another project, and so it's just a
Mm.
quick, constant rinse and repeat. But when people use the term rug pull, they use it too loosely. In the space there, that it's like a quick, it's like a almost like a catchphrase for a lot of people. If a project truly fails and they really tried everything, you can tell. Not all startups are gonna win, but you also have to understand the difference between what is a rug pull and what is a project failure. You can have one without the other, and those
Absolutely.
are key things.
Yeah,
So,
I
so,
mean,
hey,
just to give you an idea, in general, about 50% of businesses fail during the first year. So I mean, and this industry is no different. It's probably actually higher. I haven't looked at the statistics for what percentage of crypto businesses fail, because the way it's regulated right now makes it really hard for you to know how many there are without just looking at coins and whether they're actively trading. Um, but I mean, I like to see a team when you have multiple people putting their faces on a coin on their website. I mean, yes, they could just be pulling people's pictures off the internet. But I mean, at this point in time, if you go to our website, you can tell that I'm on it. You can see me on there, and you can see me here to be able to tell it's the same person.
yeah,
Um,
I think what's important, Brandon, is that you guys have bought into the project just like everybody else, correct? So
yes,
this is not an allocation of tokens where, like the success of the project means that the token we created and threw in the side is going to automatically create wealth that you can walk away with. Kind of like I think SafeMoon, one of those projects recently, the CEO went to jail because he was taking money that was coming through the project and buying boats and all kinds of stuff like that. But that's not the case in this particular community.
I don't know. There's our marketing wallet right now is like $500,
It,
Absolutely.
which
it, the key takeaway is that, yeah, we did all buy at the same time. We all had the same opportunity. No one got the contract early unless you participated in, Brandon was running meme competition where you got the contract early, but you couldn't buy. You just had the opportunity to maybe set yourself up, but then the contract was released. Everybody got it at the same time. We all had the same opportunity to buy in. Um, it's always a gamble when you launch like that. But we all got in exactly the same way at the same time. So there's no unfair
exactly.
allocations. Um, you know, Anything we do is come from our own wallets. We've been blessed with community members that have donated to our marketing wallet, be able to
Mm.
do things like have a video game character with our likeness in there and get those types of things developed. Um, you
I
know,
can't.
it's a blessing to have a community that cares. But it does create some challenges when you do stuff like that. But yeah, we all have an individual stake into it, but as a team, we want to grow. So it's definitely an interesting dynamic to see, especially in this space today when people would normally put like 5%, 10% of allocations. They would dump on the community and like, oh, we're using this for marketing, we're using this for exchange listing, but then you're dumping 3% of the token, extracting 20% of liquidity out of everybody. It's just not a good look. It's definitely not a good look to see that happen.
Absolutely. And I want to move the conversation into risks of the meme coin community. And then I want to start to wrap it up with talking about some of the utility that we have planned inside this particular community. So starting off with the regulatory space, I know a lot of projects ended up in bad situations because they were labeled as a security or because there was, as the regulation space evolves, they weren't in line with the emerging regs. So do you guys see any risks or regulations that might be emerging in the meme coin community as a whole that might affect the success of some of these projects?
Um, I mean, here's the thing. The SEC is constantly changing what they're trying to do. Not to put my tinfoil hat on, but I'm gonna put it on anyway.
Put it on.
We are in it's right there it is right there, you know. Um, we're in a time where we're probably gonna be in the last 1 to 3 generations where you can actually make generational wealth and not be stuck. If you look at the way the world's going, the middle class is starting to disappear. What $50,000 a year a couple years ago would you be able to live in a 1 bedroom apartment and still sustain yourself and go to work and have a car and still be able to live, not a lavish lifestyle, but a small lifestyle, right? Um, Now the new 50 grand a year for middle class is 90 to $100,000 a year, right? To keep up with inflation. If you look at apartments right now, especially in the Tampa area, Florida area, you're looking at apartments that are like $1,900 a month. They suggest that you're supposed to be doing 30% of your income is supposed to go towards your living expenses, rent, electricity, water. When you run that math, there are probably people that are making almost 160
Yeah, it's
a
horrible.
year.
It's $100,000 a year for a 1 bedroom
So,
apartment.
Oh, wow.
so yeah, it's crazy. So when you look at the way the things are working, a lot of it feels like scare tactics. Look at XRP. They're like, oh, this is going to be security. Well, guess what? XRP won, right? Bitcoin. Oh, this is never going to be a thing. Well, guess what? Bitcoin won. They have an ETF. You're going to see the crypto space is going to be accepted more. Um, but it wasn't accepted because in the beginning because they didn't understand it. But a lot of people, the higher, people with wealth and money, old money, they were like, we can't let this occur. We need to keep our thumb on the people, right? The less millionaires and billionaires there are, the less likely they'll be able to affect change, right? Um, it's a little it's odd to talk about it, especially in podcasts, but in reality, they want the powers that be want people to continually having to work. With money comes financial freedom, which comes with lifestyle, which means you're no longer reliant on the companies and the larger, the government or larger people ahead of you to make those decisions for you. So they lose control. No one likes to lose control. I mean, it's just part of the game. So it's taking these opportunities. If the SEC makes a decision and the government starts going after people, we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there. Am I personally concerned? Absolutely not. I'm here to grow myself, my financial self, try to gain as much generational wealth as I can from myself and my family moving forward. But it's just not a fear for me per se. I think balls on you. Will when if and when the SEC decides to start going after meme coins, what's the purpose? Well, we never made a promise of profit. We never made a promise of money. We never gave anybody prior allocations. There was no IDOs. There was no ICOs. It was here's a token. Here's your opportunity. You have an option to buy it or not. No one was forced in. No one was giving any allocations early ahead of time. So everybody had the same opportunity. It was fair. And I think they would have a very hard time and very hard pressed to try to prove that we were doing anything nefarious, regardless of
Absolutely.
anything to try to do.
Yeah, I know that what I've witnessed is that all decisions have been made very methodically and democratically, and I haven't seen anyone in the community that's in a leadership role seem overly anxious to push this into um, becoming a billion-dollar token at the cost of making immoral decisions or illegal or unethical decisions. Everything is very planned and deliberate actions, which I think a lot of folks can't see behind the scenes of what's going on, inside the project. But I grew up 20 years in the Army, lived the Army values, so I wouldn't associate myself with any group that didn't resonate with the values that I've held true for the past 20 years. So that's one of the reasons why, I invited you guys here to represent the meme coin community and talk about the opportunities, the risks, the morality behind it. And that's why you guys are here right now. So,
No, we appreciate you inviting us.
absolutely. And I want to just kind of talk about it. If I forget anything, I just want to put out to the community that's listening some of the technical cybersecurity risks associated with meme coins. Obviously, at the top number one is financial loss. Obviously, you can dump money into a meme coin and it can go to zero. So I always advise folks, put in what you can lose. This is a mantra of crypto space. Do your own research and only put in what you can lose. There's great opportunities, but there's also opportunity for loss. So don't look at any project and say, this is my ticket to financial freedom. You just have to do your research and invest what you're willing to lose. There's lots of technical risks in the space. I've seen airdrop tokens. And when people have wallets, they'll get airdrops and they'll say, hey, connect your wallet. And this is kind of getting a little bit technical for the folks who are not in crypto, but you have, applications on your phone, on your computer called wallets where your crypto is stored. So you might see an asset that lands in your wallet and then it'll, pretty much drive you towards connecting it to an environment. And as soon as you connect your wallet, that's an opportunity for them to interact with your wallet and potentially drain your funds. And a lot of folks, airdrops are essentially free token assets that are given away to a community, and that's usually gets people excited about free wealth. So just like the same way folks will click on an email for that relative in Nigeria that left them $10 million. People do the same thing in the crypto space, just willingly connect their wallets to unknown sources so that they can get free tokens, which is definitely a risk. And we talked about death by regulation, those crypto projects that aren't not properly aligned, they can quickly get squeezed out of the market space because of regulation.
So one of the challenges there is the regulations aren't clear enough. Like most business owners can go and register an LLC themselves. Most of them can do all the stuff you need to do to be able to start any other type of business. I can tell you right now, there's no clarity for us to be able to just straight up do it like we do every business. And when they provide that, I promise you, I'm going to go get it because you know what? That's what we have to do to keep it growing long term.
Absolutely. And Brandon, I wanted to talk a little bit about um what are we trying to do for the future of the project in terms of not just adhering to regulation, but achieving social impact. I know we talk a lot about that in the community. So I just want to kind of put it out there about some of the vision that we have around just not making this about, jokes, but actually achieving real social impact.
So for social impact, we're looking into charities that do testicular cancer research and other men's and focus on other men's health issues. We interview ballers within the community that are doing good for others. For instance, on our YouTube channel, we just interviewed Leo from Dogface Foundation that helps disabled veterans and first responders navigate the whole VA, Medicaid, Medicare, disability, all that stuff.
Absolutely.
So we interviewed him so that people are more aware of the fact that the organizations don't work together very well, and that you kind of need an advocate who's really well versed in all those things to help you. Uh,
Yes. I've seen you drop balls to people in the community that says, hey, I really like to get further, deep inside the balls community, but I don't have the funds to do it. And I've seen you help those people out, dropping from your wallet. So I thought that was pretty cool. I've seen some chats go on in the early days when I first came in the project.
so a lot of those people are people I've seen in dozens of other projects. And I see them consistently supporting good people. So I have a giveaway fund that when someone does something I like or something or just says, "Hey, I need a few," I just drop them. It's just another way of building the community because I mean let's face it, this is play money, right?
Yeah, this is the only place you can drop balls and not get a sexual harassment charge on you. So you got to take full advantage, and you drop billions at a time. So no pain, no lawsuit. So that's great. I want
Yes.
to shift into some of the utility that we're looking at creating inside the environment. Whatever you guys are open to talk about as far as what we're trying to do to create utility.
So we have our NFTs dropping, right? That's a gift to the community. So that's one thing, right? You're gonna get something free. It's kind of one of those things in situations where, you know, something free is a good thing, right? Where you can hang out, play with it. Um, we are I want to try to build like an ecosystem around balls and to support balls, right? I don't ever want you to put your whole investment into one thing. I have a very strong tenet about that. You never put all your eggs in one basket. Um, but we also want to create a supportive thing. So um, Brandon is the ideas guy, right? He's talking about creating another staking platform where you can put balls LP together and you can earn a token and then you can take that token and stake for balls, a drip of balls, if you will. Where we're going to, VaporDex wanting to do like a 1% service fee for transactions for balls to help us grow our marketing wallet and help us grow as a whole. Where we might, maybe take like a small percentage of that 1% and give it right back to the community as a thank you. Like, here you go. Like, we're incentivizing you to do an LP. And on top of your LP fees that you're receiving, you get your VLP token or your JLP token from Joe, and you go ahead and stake it. And when you stake it, we're going to also give you back some of the balls that you may have had from that service fee. Even if you're just holding and you're like, hey, I want to go ahead and tie some AVAX to this LP, you can get a percentage of that ball drip that's going to be coming through. Um, I would like to see some more, whether some type of staking or DeFi farming. That's something that I've, kind of been talking about, that helps support the balls economy overall. We've been partnering with, soft partnerships with certain tokens that they've airdropped our community members. Like Snow Inu airdropped community members $10 worth of snow if you're in the top 100. That's $1,000 gone. Like, thank you for taking that time to drop that out. Occupy, I've had a really good relationship with them. They went ahead and dropped, I think it was $9.99 based off of their 99 principal. They dropped Occupy tokens to the top. I think it was the top 50 or top 100 holders. I still have my Occupy. They're a great group of guys to work with. You have Sus.algo, our NFT artist. He's planning to bring his community over to the Avalanche ecosystem and wants to collab more with us. He's actually started to include the Balls Gold chain around some of his artistry. So he wants to try to include some more collaboration between us and them. So it's not necessarily the utility of the token has to be that you're putting it into a staking or contract, you're earning something, right? It also means what is being given to you. And a lot of stuff is for free. A lot of this is free money. You can do with it what you will. It's not financial advice, but it's what's being given across the board, which has been really nice to see. Other communities are recognizing each other and are helping each other out. So it's, just having balls in your sack is good enough, right? But
Absolutely.
getting free stuff is A1.
So I think I have you already, I think the ego versus game is going to be absolutely awesome.
Yeah, the
It's going to
Egoverse. I
be
almost forgot about
so
that.
much fun. Um, and then another one we're working
Hey,
on
Brandon,
is to
pause
help
right
with.
there real quick. I need you to go a little bit deeper and explain to the audience because you got a bunch of listeners that probably never held crypto in your life. And I just want you to talk a little bit more about the idea behind blockchain gaming and the ego versus what they're actually trying to do. There was a description, I think you said it was similar to a Street Fighter type deal, right?
Yeah, I describe it similar to like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, but it's allowing projects to buy in to have a character based on their brand. So our character, and we haven't really talked about what it's actually going to be that much, but I'm going to tell people now.
Mhm.
Um, okay, so our character's going to be a cyborg with a balls looking chin. And like its skin's gonna be like the color of the logo, and its metal's gonna be the blue and the black. Um, and it's going to have a couple special moves. One of them's a tea bag,
Very important.
which I'm not going to explain to anyone who doesn't know what it is. Go to Urban Dictionary. But that's going to be one of the moves, which will be absolutely hysterical. The other one, we're going to be announcing a meme competition pretty soon, where we need a total of 10 to 25 memes. And these memes are going to be used in the game like Gambit's throwing parts from X-Men games, where you throw them at people and
That's
it
pretty
hits them,
cool.
does damage. So the people who create the memes will get to have their art in a game, which is freaking cool.
That's awesome. So
So
so we got some pretty interesting things kind of scaling the brand into some utility there, and I like that. And the partnerships I think is really good. Like I said, when I sit in those Twitter spaces and I look at the brand names that pop up, you know, across the board of who's talking and who's collaborating, I think that cross pollination between the communities is advantageous for everybody. So that definitely is you know, some work being done in the background.
this is
No,
how you
absolutely. This is how you grow, right? Is that cross pollination? Egoverse has been very kind to us. They're so a little bit more expansion on the Egoverse Brawlers game. It's not just going to be we're going to have a character, right? Which is I think is great because the Brawlers game that they're creating, you can take NFTs and you can put them into the game. You can use them actively in the game because they haven't. It's not just a Brawlers game they've created, but they've also created a shooter as well. Egoverse is actually a lot larger than people see. And their whole idea is that if you buy one of their NFTs, you can use it in the game to fight with. But they're also going to be allowing us and another token to be used for gambling, right? So if me and you are duking it out and you think you're better at me than Tekken, right? And we can sit there and we can say, I'm gonna put a million balls on the line.
Oh,
I'm
we
gonna
lost
beat you,
Ricky. Ricky, oh,
right?
there you go.
You
You're
can put a
back.
million balls right back. Like, all right, I'm gonna bet that million balls. I'm gonna beat you. We're gonna go toe to toe. Oh, okay. What was the last thing you heard?
Everything
we
came
can we
in.
can we can
Everything
bet.
came in just at one spurt of time. So we got it.
Okay, cool. So you can bet a million balls against each other, and it's winner take all, right? But with that, that's going to benefit the balls community because now you've got that utility for gambling, but that money, a percentage of that revenue that's coming in, right, is also going to come back to the balls team, right?
Yeah.
So where we can take that and we can give it back to the community overall. So it's going to be a healthy relationship between us and Ecoverse. They actually, Tom, the CEO of VaporDex, actually reached out to him, which is why he reached out to us and he wanted to, kind of, collaborate. And then I
That's
believe that's kind of
interesting
where it's
because
about.
I've been talking to him for months about coming
Mhm.
over to Avalanche, and Tom did it. Tom came in there
Tom,
after I've been talking to him for months about it,
yeah,
and he finally came over and said, "Yeah, I'm coming over." I'm like, "Okay, fuck yeah, let's do this."
yeah. Tom just came in and gave me a little sweep, like, "Hey man, they got balls. Let's get this in there," which kind of just was perfect timing with the Brawlers game. So we were super excited for it. I can't wait until I can challenge somebody and give them the good old balls drop.
And
We are
the
definitely live streaming some fights then.
yeah, that'll
Oh,
be
for
pretty
sure.
cool on Twitter Spaces. That'll be if that's
Well,
possible.
it would probably work better on YouTube because you can't really do video on Twitter
Yeah, that's
Spaces
true.
anymore.
Yeah, Elon, you need to step your game up.
Right? Listen, I promise you, if we can get on Twitter Spaces, I'll be more than happy to be running ball fights, on Sundays.
You just have to use the sound effects. We can't do video yet. You just have to use the sounds. They have to be entertained with that. So what about the meme factory? Is that something that's in the works?
So it's something that works in the background. that Jose's been playing with. He went ahead and started creating something involving the meme factory. Um, Essentially, it's going to be involving like being able to kind of like third web where you can get a contract, you can set it up, and you fill in some information, right? But in this case, it's going to be contracts that have been vetted and created by Vapor. So you can fill in some information. You already know the contract is going to be a good contract because it's been created by the team, and you can plug in that information, then you can launch your token. Right now, does that mean you get whitelisted automatically? No, because you still got to pass the Vaporfy checks, LP locks, LP burns, things of that nature. Um, but it's going to help create a safer environment and a transparent environment for people that are launching tokens from the Meme Factory. Now, the cool thing about the Meme Factory that they've been playing around with is that maybe the BAWLS community is going to benefit from the Meme Factory. Like Kimbo created their subnet for themselves. They're talking about putting the Meme Factory on a subnet and then using BAWLS token as a gas token for that subnet. So there's a lot of elasticity with that idea. Either you have to hold balls and you got to stake it so you can have access to the meme coin factory so that you can create items on there. Maybe you have to have balls to pay for the meme coin factory, right? So there's been a lot of play around in the background and communications, and I've talked to them about it, and I know Brandon has probably talked to them about it too, and it's just been a lot of back and forth on what's the best way to move forward because VaporDex does have their own timelines, but they see the value out of the meme coin factory. So um, once more information comes out from there, we're more than happy to share that out. But it seems that for right now, it's looking like balls and meme coin factory are probably going to be used in the same sense a lot. So that's the goal.
That's awesome. Hey guys, I appreciate you guys taking the time to have this great conversation with me. I think we covered a lot of ground and gave people things to think about. I want them to be able to digest the conversation. So I want to wrap it up with any final thoughts, and then if you guys can just share how people can get involved with the project, how they can connect, so we can wrap up this conversation.
Thank you for
If you
having us. I greatly appreciated it. I I always enjoy discussing different ways that people see the industry because it's a young industry. I mean, we're literally just figuring out what all we can do with it, and that's so much fun. And you meet a ton of great people and build amazing relationships. So I mean, if you're just looking for to make money, there's safer ways than crypto. But if you're looking to have fun doing it too, well, I can't think of a better.
Absolutely. I tell you, I'm definitely having fun. This is an interesting environment. Ricky, over to you.
yeah, again, thank you for having us. We appreciate giving us the time to be able to share our voice not only with you but also with your listeners and your subscribers into the podcast. What I can honestly say is that always do your own research. Never go in head first just because you see a green candle lighting up. Don't let the FOMO catch you where you do everything. Only put in what you're willing to forget about it, set it and forget it. Um, don't ever bet your whole home on it. And diversify. Always diversify. The space is very interesting. There's a lot of money being made in the space. You just got to make sure you do it carefully and correctly. My background is also, a little bit of cybersecurity. My company I work for does deal with like phishing attacks and teach people how to avoid those. So if you see something you're unfamiliar with, do your research. Is it something legitimate? Take a look at the contract, and then think about what your next steps are. If you don't know what it is, just forget about it. If you haven't seen it from the official Twitter, don't touch it. So just be aware, stay safe out there, and enjoy cryptocurrency as it is. And hopefully, you'll be able to get a pair of balls on Avalanche and Vapor Decks. Because as I said earlier, everybody deserves a pair of balls.
Absolutely. Hey guys, I appreciate it. So for the audience out there, thanks for listening in. You can find the BAWLS Onu community on Discord, TikTok, Twitter. The website is ballsonu.com. Is it .io or .com, guys?
.com.
.com. Okay, .com. We're pretty much on every social media platform, and if you just do hashtag BAWLS on Twitter, you will see a myriad of memes and things that you can connect with. As you see, this is a great team of cybersecurity professionals, people with a lot of business background, people with great values, veterans, a lot of great people in the background of these communities. So definitely go out there, go forth and conquer in 2024, and continue to learn and educate yourself. Meme environments are great opportunity to learn and grow your wealth and be involved in the community. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys next time on the Military Mentor Podcast.